Toto Wolff just told the world's media that Red Bull is the benchmark. He said, and I quote, "Mercedes cannot come close to the energy deployment and top speeds that Max Verstappen's Red Bull is generating right now." That's the head of Mercedes admitting defeat, before a single race has even happened. But here's the problem. The data from Bahrain Test Day 1 tells a completely different story, and I have the numbers right here to prove it. Max Verstappen hit 339 km per hour on the straight. George Russell in the Mercedes, 339 km per hour slower. And yet Lando Norris, running the exact same Mercedes engine, topped the entire session. Faster than Max, faster than everyone. So either Toto Wolff's own team is incompetent, or he's lying. And when you understand the engine war happening behind closed doors right now, everything he said today starts to look like the most calculated political move of the entire pre-season. This isn't racing. This is chess. And by the end of this video, you'll see every piece on the board. Stay with me. Let's start with the facts. Day 1, Bahrain. Lando Norris goes fastest, 1 minute 34.6. Max Verstappen is second, 1 minute 34.7. Leclerc slots in third for Ferrari. Those are the headlines, but the headlines miss the real story. Max ran the entire day. Morning, afternoon, 136 laps. Alone, no driver swap. Most teams split their sessions between 2 drivers. Max didn't need to. And his long run pace was sitting in the high 137 seconds, low 138 seconds, barely dropping off, lap after lap after lap. For a car powered by an engine Red Bull built themselves, in partnership with Ford, in their very first year as a manufacturer, that kind of consistency is not normal. That's a statement. But here's what actually matters. Forget lap times for a second. Look at the speed trap data. This is where Verstappen separated himself from the entire field. 339 km per hour on the main straight, and he held it, not just once, every lap. Flat, consistent, no drop-off. That means Red Bull's electrical energy deployment is working. The battery isn't clipping. The power isn't dying halfway down the straight. Now compare that to everyone else. Piastri in the McLaren, clipping. Ocon in the Haas, clipping. And Russell in the Mercedes, clipping harder than anyone. Reaching his top speed way too early down the straight, then losing speed before he even hits the braking zone. That's the car running out of electrical energy mid-straight. And this is the team that was supposed to dominate 2026. Max just quietly reminded everyone who the real benchmark is. But that's not the whole story. Here's the contradiction that nobody can explain, unless you understand the politics. Russell was 30 km per hour slower than Verstappen on the straights. 30. That number is enormous. A gap that large doesn't come from setup or aero. That comes from the power unit. And yet, McLaren, running the same Mercedes engine, was the fastest car on track. Norris beat Max on outright pace. So how can the same engine produce the fastest car and one of the slowest on the straights? There's really only one explanation that makes sense. Mercedes chose to be slow. Reports suggest they never even went into 8th gear. They didn't push the power unit anywhere near its limit. And the moment you ask why, everything connects. But here's the twist that everyone missed, and why it matters more than any lap time from today. There is a war happening right now over the 2026 engine regulations, and it could change the entire season before Melbourne. Here's the short version. The old rules allowed an 18:1 compression ratio. The new rules dropped it to 16:1. But the regulations say this ratio is measured at ambient temperature, when the engine is cold. Mercedes found a way to design their engine so that when metals expand at operating temperature, The compression ratio rises above 16:1. Technically legal under the written rules. Practically, it gives them extra horsepower that no other manufacturer has. Ferrari, Audi, and Honda wrote a joint letter to the FIA demanding a change. Measure the ratio when the engine is hot. And here's the kicker. Red Bull just switched sides. They were reportedly trying the same trick, couldn't make it work, and have now joined the other 3 manufacturers. That's 4 out of 5 aligned against Mercedes. Under F1's rules, 4 manufacturers plus the FIA and FOM is enough for a supermajority vote to rewrite the regulations immediately. That vote could happen before the March 1st homologation deadline. Let that sink in. 4 manufacturers banding together, racing to rewrite the rules before the season even starts. Not to win on track, but to stop one team from ever getting the chance. This isn't engineering anymore. This is treaty negotiation with horsepower. And Toto knows it. Now zoom out. You're Toto Wolff. You know you might have the most powerful engine on the grid, but a vote is coming. One that could make your engine illegal overnight. What do? You stand in front of the cameras and say Red Bull is faster. You say, poor us. You make sure the FIA and Liberty Media see that Mercedes is struggling. Because if they believe Red Bull is already ahead, why would they vote to nerf Mercedes' engine even further? Why punish the team that's losing? Sound familiar? In 2014, Mercedes are believed to have done something very similar. They had what many consider the best car by a mile. They hid it through testing. Then dominated from race 1. 8 straight Constructors' Championships followed. If this is the play, Toto just gambled all of Mercedes' future on one political move. And the fans aren't buying it. Every comment section from today is flooded. Mercedes sandbagging. Wait for Q3 Melbourne. Toto definitely trying to direct attention elsewhere. The question isn't whether Mercedes could be hiding pace, it's whether the politics allow them to. While Toto runs his political masterclass, Aston Martin is in genuine trouble. 36 laps all day. Williams, who missed Barcelona entirely, did 145. The Honda power unit is the problem. Top speed capped at 290 km/h since Barcelona. Max was at 340. Before lunch, Honda engineers were spotted with flashlights inside the engine bay. Faces rather concerned. Aston Martin confirmed a data anomaly and didn't return to the track. Newey's chassis might be the most beautiful car on the grid. But beauty doesn't matter when your engine can't survive Bahrain in February, with hotter races ahead. Reddit is already flooded with GP2 engine memes. And Andy Cowell admitting they're on a very short timeline. That's the scariest phrase in motorsport engineering. And this is what makes Max's day even more impressive. Red Bull Powertrains built this engine from scratch. Ford handles the electrical side. First year as a manufacturer. And the result? 136 laps with Max alone, 211 total laps across the Red Bull power unit. 0 reliability issues, no overheating, no anomalies, just pace, consistency, and deployment that nobody else could match. Compare that. Red Bull Powertrains, 211 laps. Honda for Aston Martin, 36. Christian Horner said months ago it would be embarrassing if Red Bull's engine fell behind Mercedes. Looking at today? They're not behind at all. Red Bull plus Verstappen aren't just fast, they're politically untouchable right now. And that changes the entire dynamic of this season. So here's where we really stand after day 1. Max Verstappen set the performance baseline that every team will now measure against. Mercedes is almost certainly hiding their real pace, and the compression ratio vote will decide whether they get to keep their advantage. Aston Martin needs a miracle from Honda. And Red Bull, the team nobody expected to lead, might genuinely have the strongest overall package going into Melbourne. I think 2026 is going to be an absolute war, and we haven't even seen anyone's real hand yet. Here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Mercedes is genuinely behind, or is Toto playing the longest sandbagging game in F1 history? Drop your theory in the comments. I read every single one, and I'll pin the best take. If this video helped you see what's really going on behind the numbers, smash that like button. It helps more than you know. Subscribe if you're not already. I'm covering every single day of testing. The real war for 2026 just started, and nobody is showing you their real weapons yet.